Magandang umaga po sa lahat ng nanonood sa Pilipinas. Good morning to all Celzo Academy viewers. Welcome to our 12th webinar for a cause that we started in June. If it is your first time joining us, allow me to give a quick introduction about myself. I am Gani Celzo and I was born and raised in Anda, Pangasinan, Philippines. I have taught 4 years in the Philippines, 12 years in the US, and this is my 5th year now here in Singapore. In fact, this Monday, we will be starting our school year. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us today. For 20 years now, it has been my mission to be an advocate of education and the disadvantaged kids. Last year, we launched 3 projects, and I'd like to thank all our avid supporters, particularly our supporters in the United States, Singapore, Philippines, and our OFWs from around the world. Again, thank you for supporting Lapis ng Pangarap. And let's watch this. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng supporters ng Lapis ng Pangarap campaign na inumpisahan namin last month. As of today, nakapagbigay na po tayo ng lapis at school supplies sa 23 schools, serving 6,571 students in Anda, Pangasinan.
Muchas gracias.
Balbalod na salamat, Sir Gani.
Abaw, salamat. Dungan, salamat.
Naway makapagbigay ito ng pag-asa sa mga bata at sana'y patuloy silang mangarap para sa magandang bukas. Samahan niyo po ako sa adhikaing makaabot ang lapis ng pangarap sa iba't ibang sulok ng Pilipinas. Muli, maraming salamat po. Bakit po lapis ng pangarap? A boy used to stay after school searching for any pencils left under the chairs that he can still use. That boy is now teaching for 20 years, advocating for the most vulnerable kids. Sharing pencils and school supplies through Lapis ng Pangarap campaign, sharing my life experiences in conquering poverty and insurmountable obstacles give hope and inspiration to students to reach for their dreams. There are still thousands of kids needing our support, especially in remote areas in the Philippines. So last year, I also launched the second project inspiring minds, transforming lives. And again, thank you to all the supporters of this project. We have raised 140,000 for Malong Elementary School in Anda, Pangasinan. So again, thank you to all our supporters. Let's watch this. We Are in This Together is our third fundraising campaign that I initiated to unite the community of 18 barangays in Anda, Pangasinan, Philippines. And of course, our supporters around the world to help in the construction of additional classrooms and creation of computer lab. With your support, we have raised a total of 473,000 to help the students and the teachers in Anda, Pangasinan.
Salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you.
Salamat po. Thank you.
Salamat po. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po. Thank you. Salamat. Maraming salamat po.
Abawa, salamat.
Thank you. Salamat po.
So again, thank you to all our avid supporters from around the world, especially our OFWs and our friends from the Philippines, United States, and Singapore. So this school year, actually 3 weeks ago, on July 12, we launched the Back to School 2020 Video Implementation Contest. And this is as our appreciation to all the hardworking and dedicated public and private schools in the Philippines, along with our students, the community, and administrators. So the submission of the entry is extended until August 22, 2020. So make sure to join this competition and submit a 3 to 5 minute video documentation of your Back to School 2020. So make sure you email your entry to celzoacademy@gmail.com and make sure that the entry includes your school name, location, and the contact person. So again, the first prize is 15,000, second prize 10,000, and third prize is 5,000. And we have some consolation prizes as well. So again, the registration deadline or submission of entry is extended until August 22, 2020. So whether you are working in a private school or public schools, I highly encourage you to join this competition. Again, kudos to all the hardworking Filipino teachers and as you prepare for the August 24 school opening. The criteria for the judging will be 60% is based on the social media votation, and 40% is based on the judges' scores based on creativity and innovation, and also diverse volunteer participation, because we want to encourage the community to be part of the Back to School 2020. So again, August 22 is the deadline of submission of your entry. For any donations or inquiries also, you may contact me at celzoacademy@gmail.com, or you can message me at Gani Celzo on FB Messenger. If you are new to this webinar, I highly encourage you to follow and like our FB page, Celzo Academy FB page, to get more notifications when certificates are available, and our upcoming webinars as well. So again, like and follow our FB page, Celzo Academy. Please do that at this time. And also, if you could support Celzo Academy YouTube channel, please subscribe and hit the bell button as well to get more notifications for our upcoming webinars and math videos that covers from basic math to high school math. So we will be posting more content to help our students and teachers, particularly in the Philippines, but also we will use English so other countries may use them as well. Last month, I also launched 2 FB groups to support, one, our students taking the college entrance tests. Also, we have other professionals taking the civil service exams, licensure examination for teachers, and this Academy Review Group also aims to provide resource materials for our students from all different levels. So join these FB groups, Celzo Academy Review Group, to have access to the different resource materials and videos. And the second group, as we transition to the blended learning, I highly encourage you also to join Global Educators, our resource speakers and other experts from different fields have been posting resources that you may find helpful and beneficial as you transition to the blended learning. So join that Global Educators group. Again, Celzo Academy Review Group, and we also have the Global Educators group. And for today's webinar agenda, our main purpose again is to answer questions relating to teaching and learning. And also we will talk about the different preparations for the new academic year. And specifically, the focus for today's webinar is on intervention and enrichment plans. And our guests are from different countries. We have one from Kazakhstan, from California, and we also have from China. So we will try to answer questions also if you have regarding the life of teachers as overseas Filipino workers. So to help us achieve our goals for today, I'm going to introduce to you now our guest speakers. Our first guest speaker is an international physics teacher at Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Physics and Mathematics at Chimkent City, Kazakhstan. Let us welcome and give our virtual applause to Princess Arguelles.
Okay. Good
Hold on.
morning.
Again, Princess. Yeah, good morning, Princess. I think we have problem with the mic a while ago, so.
Okay, sorry. Okay, good morning po. Magandang umaga po ulit. So,
welcome again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gani. So this is my second time joining Gani in these very informative webinars. So, ako po si Princess. I'm currently based in Chimkent, Kazakhstan. It's in the southern region. I'm currently teaching at Nazarbayev Intellectual School, Physics Math School here in Shymkent City. I am now almost 2 years here. By November, magto 2 years na. I've been a teacher for around 13 years. 4 years in the Philippines, 7 years in Indonesia, and then almost 2 years here in Kazakhstan. I'm a graduate of PNU, Philippine Normal University, and I took Bachelor of Science in Physics for Teachers. Maraming salamat po ulit and good morning.
Welcome again, Princess. Thank you for joining us for the second time. I really appreciate, and I'm looking forward to more insights regarding intervention and enrichment. Yes, I'm also a graduate of Philippine Normal University. So yeah, it's all right. Our second guest is from California. She is currently a math teacher in Los Angeles, California, USA. In fact, I have worked with her for a few years in Los Angeles. Let us welcome our second guest with our virtual applause. Let's welcome Zeny Rosete.
Hi, magandang umaga po. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Zeny Rosete, or that's my nickname. My name is Zenaida. Graduate po ako ng Philippine Normal University ng 1997. Nagturo ako sa Philippines for 4 years. And I've been here in the United States for 18 years. So that's too long already. Yes, I worked with Mr. Gani Celzo the year 2014 up to 2016. So he was my math coach during that time. So he helped me so much. That's it. I majored in mathematics at Philippine Normal University. And we're here for so many years already.
Yeah, thank you, Zeny, for joining us today. I know it's evening now in California. Yeah, I have worked with Zeny for a few years at School of Social Justice. As a founding member of that school, we hired Zeny, I think, in 2013. 2014. And when we interviewed Zeny and when she did her demo teaching, I was really impressed with her demo teaching. And also, she's a very passionate and hardworking teacher. So helping us with our intervention and enrichment kids. Because in California, we serve underperforming schools. So with the help of Zeny, we were able to achieve those high results in our standardized assessments. So Zeny, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you also for inviting me. This is my first time to join your webinar. Thank you.
All right. And our third guest will be joining us actually through recorded webinar. He is Joel Chavez. He's an ESL teacher and curriculum designer at Xungyuan City, China. And also he has currently have a YouTube channel. So if you could subscribe to kalahi.ph, he has content in mostly in grade school English classes. So please try to visit his channel and consider subscribing to kalahi.ph. You may wonder about the hat. I'm also intrigued by the hat. So let's hear from him about that hat.
Hey there, everyone. I hope you're doing fine. My apology if you see me wearing my hat. This has been a part of my identity, so I hope you won't mind.
All right, so that is a quick introduction about Joel Chavez. Also, Joel Chavez, just like I've said, he is an ESL teacher in China for 15 years. He also taught for 7 years in Manila. He holds a degree in elementary education and earned units in MA in administration and supervision. So Joel will be joining us through his recorded insights. And since he's in the Philippines right now, it's an island town. And you know, internet connection in an island is not reliable. So instead, he recorded some videos to help us with the questions for today. So right now, let's welcome and give our virtual applause to Joel Chavez. Again, thank you for joining us today. And thank you for those recorded insights. All right, Zeny and Princess, I hope you guys are ready. Also, before we begin with our questions, I hope that our viewers will participate as well in our questions and our discussion today. So make sure to drop your comments and responses to the questions. So the first question is, what do teachers and schools need to prioritize in preparing for this unique academic year? I say unique because in the Philippines, you guys are doing blended learning. Here in Singapore, we're going back to the regular classroom setting on Wednesday. And I know in the US, you guys are US and Kazakhstan, you're also preparing for the both virtual learning and live classes as well. So you guys have a minute to respond to that question. And then when you're ready, please type your answers in the comment section. As you're doing that, we're gonna, as always, we're gonna give shout outs to our viewers and their respective schools. So we can give shout outs to the students and teachers as well. All right, so good morning to our early bird. Our early bird for today's webinar is Cherry Balukay from Cagayan Valley, Sybil from Surigao del Norte. Thank you for watching. Those are the first two viewers. Sonny, good morning. Amy, Cheryl Corazon, Bernardina Infanta, Diosa Manalo, Rufa Kitay. Thank you for watching. Junie Baldamore. Sonny is from Malolos, Bulacan. Hello to Natividad High School. Leia Paringgit. Hernani from Bacolod City. Jomar from Quezon. Patnanungan National High School. Hello to the students and teachers. Ana Lizelle is from Laguna, Philippines. Muger Esther from New Era University, Quezon City. And Elita is from CDO. Jehov, good morning. Wildflower, good morning. Anatolio, Johnny, Maria, Nelisa, Judith, Andrea. And we're going to give more shout outs later. Also, Zeny and Princess, please give shout outs to your families in the Philippines and colleagues as well. Let's begin with Zeny.
Yes, hi sa mga co-teachers ko dati sa Perez, Mikawayan, Bulacan, at saka yung mga kaibigan ko na nasa sa Infanta, Quezon, nasa sa Iloilo, saan pa ba? Sa Las Piñas. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
All right, and Ses?
Yes, good morning po sa inyong lahat at sa mga taga-Antique, if meron, Panay Island. Magandang umaga po.
All right, so before we will share our insights to that question, we're going to share some insights of our audience right now. On your screen, I am projecting some of your responses. So this one is from Antoinette Antang. She said, the learning materials to be used and the platform to where the teaching and learning process will take place. Yes, that's really important to decide at this time, right? What learning materials and what modalities you guys could use. From Diego Camo, I think the priority this coming school year is the safetyness, both learners and teachers. I agree with you. It should be the safety and well-being of teachers and students. From Ana Lizelle Rivera, variety of interventions that can be used both in online and offline. From Elena Paaza, modules for learners, and health facilities for teachers. From Cybel, we're preparing modules and worksheets. And in the Philippines, there a lot of teachers now are printing their materials and their modules so they could start distributing these resources to the families that don't have access to gadgets. From Andrea Ramos, besides modules, online materials, and apps, the teachers and schools must also assure the mental health. That's really important, Andrea. I agree with you. We cannot use all the modules and apps if the users are not functioning well in all aspects. And before we hear from the insights of our resource speakers, shout out sa mga colleagues ng Siena College Taytay and sa Miriam College Higher Education. Good morning, Leia, and to your colleagues as well. Hello to Marilu Buenaventura, Melody Estrada, Eds Mercado, Ana Lizelle, Jomar Madani. And the last one before we hear from Zeny and Princess is from Eds. Eds Mercado said, time to facilitate whatever the teaching tools that we need to prepare for our learners. All right. So again, the question is, what do teachers and schools need to prioritize in preparing for this unique academic year? So Zeny and Princess, if you could please share with us your preparation as a teacher or as a school or even district in California and Kazakhstan. Could you please share your preparations right now?
Okay, I'll start. So
Yes,
here
Zeny.
in California, all teachers during the summer, we attended like several trainings online on how to use those online tools and resources that we can use to teach our students, because majority of our teachers, they're having difficulty accessing or using technology online. So that's why they're thinking like retiring already at an early age. So at this point, so the priority is us teachers being trained on how to use those online resources and tools, and also providing our students with electronic devices that they can use online. And also, if they have no internet access, the district, Los Angeles Unified School District, are actually providing them with free Wi-Fi, free tablets for them to use at home. And then there are some trainings also for parents on how to navigate those school websites in order to help and access, become their students successful in learning the tools at home. So there are a lot of trainings that we attended, so many hours, but it's worth it. So I'm so happy to see all those online that's available out there. Sometimes it's free, sometimes the district have to pay per student or per teacher's license, so we can cultivate and use it and maximize the use of everything.
All right, thank you, Zeny. Yeah, I think that's the challenge in the Philippines, right? The challenge is the readiness in terms of technology and gadgets. So you guys are lucky in California that you are providing those free internet and gadgets to the students. But in the Philippines, that's the true challenge. Our teachers have been preparing by attending different webinars and trainings, but I think the lack of resources is and has been the challenge in the Philippines. What about in Kazakhstan, Princess?
Yeah, our school serves as the model school, pilot school for all the schools in Kazakhstan. So we did these preparations in March before we went on the full swing remote teaching. But we delayed the start of the fourth term. So the 2 weeks we did the training for teachers on the use of Microsoft Teams. The school director conducted surveys amongst the teachers to check for the availability of internet. Like every time we report the the speed of our internet connection. They contacted internet providers. Say, for example, if a teacher complained that, the access to internet is difficult in his or her area, our school stakeholders, the board members, did something to connect with the internet providers. We also conducted surveys among the students. Trainings were conducted with the teachers, the students, and the parents. And for each department, there is an IT person who is in charge. So, for example, if we are having difficulties, because of course some of my colleagues are no longer very much into the use of technology. So the outcome from that experience is the basis now for the new training that the ministry in all Kazakhstan is conducting. So they launched this massive online training, asynchronous training for all the teachers if they had professional and then technical problems that they encountered beginning March until June. And one thing that our school is doing now, they check for our health status every day. So I agree. We have to also prioritize the mental and then the psychological health of our teachers. So we need to update the school pertaining to our health status every day.
All right, so thank you. Those are the preparations in California and Kazakhstan right now. I'll try to summarize at this time the different preparations for the academic year, whether you're in the Philippines, Singapore, California, or Arizona, or Kazakhstan, or any part of the world. I think we can summarize those in 3 things. So the first one, I've also saw this in the different comments from our viewers. The emphasis should be on the safety of the students and teachers. So administrators really need to coordinate with the local public health officials and make sure that they follow the government protocols, and they have to stay informed about the COVID-19 transmission in the community. So also make sure that the administrators, in coordination with the DepEd, to plan safety protocols and prepare to ensure that school environment complies with the health standards. Last year, teachers here in Singapore reported back to school, and we have the same hesitations about our safety, but our administrators and the health and emergency team have been working for the past 2 months, making sure that the classroom environment is safe, and we have the emergency protocols that we all have to follow, the students have to follow, to make sure that we prioritize the safety of the students and the teachers. The second, make sure that there is a clear academic instruction plans. And again, just like what our resource speakers have shared with us, there's a lot of trainings and webinars now that teachers have been attending. That's one way for us to prepare ourselves in the new normal in the teaching and learning. And also for administrators, if you could lessen the workload and responsibilities of teachers, that will be the best help that you can provide to our teachers. Again, the emphasis should be our well-being and self-care. And I'm really thankful with our administrators here in Singapore. 2 days ago, they announced that there are no teacher evaluations this year. And for as long as our PLC PLC means professional learning community, will work together to ensure the quality of instruction all the time. And teachers are, excuse me, teachers are very adaptive to this new normal, and lessening the workloads and removing some of those things that are unnecessary, especially these difficult times, I think will help our teachers. So administrators, be kind to your teachers in evaluating them. I think, again, the most important thing right now is self-care and well-being. And again, the most important thing is to make sure that the teachers, administrators communicate the continuity of instruction plans with families, staff, and other partners. Because I know in the Philippines, it came to my attention that some schools are not yet ready. They don't know yet what's the continuity of instruction plan for the respective schools. So as administrators and teachers, that's one thing that you need to be considering at this time, and make that accessible to the families, staff, and partners. So regularly communicate that with your stakeholders. Also, here in Singapore, I just want to share with you that we have students coming from more than 50 countries around the world. So as early as May, we were giving assessments, online assessments to those incoming students to Singapore. And so that we can place them either in a regular class, math class, or advanced class, so depending on their assessments. And as of yesterday, we still have about 100 kids, 100 students that are still outside Singapore, about 10 students per grade level. So as we prepare for this academic year, we are also providing online support classes for those 10 students per grade level. So I will be teaching the math early in the morning. I'll be teaching 5:50 in the morning here in Singapore to help our students in North and South America. And in the evening, I will also be teaching an hour class to support the students here in Asia, because we have, again, our students are coming from different countries. So those are just our preparations for this academic year. So again, Zeny and Princess, thank you for your insight for that question. Before we continue with the question, if you're interested to get the certificates, please make sure that you take note of this attendance verification code. It's RTI281. RTI stands for Response to Intervention. RTI square is Response to Instruction and Intervention. 81 is August the 1st. So that's RTI281 is our code for this webinar. And before we continue with our next question, I'm going to give a short introduction about what is RTI square. So RTI square means Response to Intervention and Instruction. And it is the practice of, 1, providing high quality instructions and interventions that match our students' needs, using students' learning rate over time and level of performance to make important educational decisions. And it blends systematic and engaging assessments, instruction, and school classroom parent communication to relentlessly improve the student learning. So this is intertwined with our previous webinars on professional learning community and the formative assessment and summative assessments. So this is the third part, that is the response to intervention and instruction. So let's take a look at the pyramid of response to intervention and instruction. So about 80 to 85% are expected to meet the standards. That is in the green level. So that is the tier 1 or the quality instruction. So if you're providing the best quality instruction, about 80 to 85% of the students should and must meet the standards. For the yellow, it's like green, yellow, and red. For the yellow, that's about 5 to 15% of the students may need some targeted support because they don't meet the standards after providing them, including them in the high quality instruction. And about 1 to 7% of the students really need that intensive and extensive support outside the class setting. So with that introduction on RTI square, Also, the benefits of RTI Square, it can increase academic skills among students, increase the number of students passing standardized tests. In fact, in California, when I was an instructional coach and a math teacher at that school, we also used the RTI Square model to improve student scores on the STAR assessments. Actually, they changed it to SBAC when I was in California. And also, it can reduce problem behavior issues, increase reading abilities in English, and fewer students will be placed in special education settings. So those are just some of the benefits of RTI Square. So here's our question number 1 regarding the response to intervention and instruction. So we say that 80% of our students meet the standards because of high quality instruction. So what are the different considerations you have in delivering a high quality instruction to ensure that students are meeting the standards? Again, for our audience, what are your considerations in delivering a high quality instruction to ensure that your students are meeting the standards? So you have again 1 minute to think about this question. And then when you're ready, please drop your comments or responses in the comments section. And again, before we hear from Zeny, Joel, and Princess, we're gonna give more shout outs to our viewers. Good morning, Melba from Baguyan City. Hello, Estelito, for watching. Romel Makatiag from Pasay City West High School. Amy Sia, thank you. Ricky Redelias from Tanza, Cavite. Evelyn Makasling from Cebu Province. Alitha from General Luna District. Genevieve from Tacloban City. Ricky from Dolores Eastern Samar. Thank you for watching. Catalina from Marikina, Inelita, Marilu, Anna. And we're getting some responses from our viewers regarding considerations to have that high quality instruction. So from Ricky, and I'm gonna post from Estelito. Estelito said preparation of learning modules, FIDF. I'm not familiar with the FIDF. Estelito, if you could share that information in the comment section, that will be great. What is FIDEP? Syllabus and others. Yeah, good morning also, Estelito. So please continue typing your responses to that question. What are the considerations you have to deliver the high quality instruction? All right, so we're gonna share more information about the responses of our viewers. From Elena, modules are aligned with the MELC. Same thing here in Singapore. We are using the power standards. I think it's also the same in California. So that's very similar to MELC. All right. Zeny and Princess, how do you ensure high quality instruction? Who wants to begin?
I can begin.
Yes.
Go ahead, Zeny.
So for my class, so since here in California, we are following a Common Core state standards to address, before we teach, we have to pick the Common Core standards and the standard that the students will learn on a particular day. But before I deliver the instructions, I have to get to know what type of students do I have in the classroom. Because even though I know the standards, I know my content, I can deliver it perfectly. But if I do not know the type of students I have in the classroom, then my instructions will fail. So I have to make sure that I know who are my special kid students, who are my advanced kids, and who are in between, so that when I create the activities, I'm actually meeting the expectations of every single one of them. Because if I don't, guess what? I'm going to have problems in the classroom. Most of my students here in California, if they don't know the materials, they actually become a problem in the classroom. And that makes me hard enough to control the class. So I have to make sure I meet what their expectations, I meet their standards, and I have to bring them to what they need to be at the end.
Thank you. Before we continue with Princess, let's watch first the response from Joel Chavez. He is joining us through this recorded webinar right now, and I'm gonna play it at this time. So here's Joel's response regarding the high quality instruction.
High quality instruction doesn't just rely on teachers' knowledge about a certain topic or lesson. Yes, I do agree, though, that number one factor to consider is the teacher's classroom management skill. And of course, that includes the teacher's ability to teach. In order for the students to get high quality education, I believe that another important thing to consider is the availability of advanced instructional materials. Now, how can one deliver a high caliber teaching learning? Let me give a concise explanation of some qualities of an ESL teacher who I think is very effective in China. I've been a teacher in China for over 15 years, so I think that's enough for me to be able to speed you up how to teach in China. You are delivering a high quality teaching if, number one, you're good at getting the students' attention. You don't start or talk a lot without them paying attention. That's very important, especially if you are handling kindergarten classes. Number two, you should be good at getting them involved or getting them engaged in the activities that you are having. Give them some dialogues, peer teaching, group activities, and games. Number three, you should be good at avoiding getting monotonous with your routines. You know, we say Filipinos in China are like clowns, magicians, performers, total performers, as we call ourselves. And I think you can, I think you know what I mean with that. We do everything in front of the students just to, you know, be an effective teacher. Now, another thing is that you should be over-exaggerated. You should over-exaggerate facial expression and tone of voice. Like, if you say that you are disappointed, you should show the students that you are really disappointed. You say, I am disappointed with your behavior right now. Or maybe even like you're really sure that you are angry. And of course, tone of voice is also very important. Now, there's also a need for you to use different teaching styles. Give them interactive activities like gallery walk, hopscotch, TPRs, or this is singing with action. We say TPRs, like total physical response. And I think you teachers know a lot of these things. And use videos. You should use PowerPoints or PPTs, as we call it, etc. Just have them talk, talk, talk. Number four, retain what they have learned. So you should explain clearly and be repetitive using different ways to teach them about a thing, especially for small kids. Number five is you should be good at recognizing or praising students. My experience is that we use a lot of stickers, cookies, candy, and praises, of course, for good ones. But you should ignore those attention seekers or just have TAs or teacher assistant deal with them. With these qualities matched with technologically advanced equipment like e-board, touch screen, computer, and manipulative materials or supplies, just like for art class and science class, plus well-ventilated, well-lit classroom, then I'm good to go and deliver for my students to meet quality or standard education they need.
All right. All right, so that's Joel Chavez from China. He's in the Philippines right now. And I agree with you. A lot of Filipino teachers around the world, and they are world-class teachers using differentiated instruction and different strategies in the classroom. All right, Sis, what about you? How do you ensure high-quality instruction in your classroom?
Yep. I will start with the standard. Sorry. So for our governing organization, we call it the Autonomous Educational Education of Nazarbayev Intellectual Schools. We have the educational program for each subject that was prepared in collaboration with the Cambridge Assessment International Education. So these programs are provided to the teachers before the start of the new school year, and they indicate there whether there are changes with regards to the learning objectives that must be covered for that school year. So this is the sort of our Bible. Everything is there. Even suggested activities are there and suggested resources. So how do we know that our students are meeting standards? Of course, based on summative assessment. The result of summative assessment, because these are carried out at the completion of the unit, and the summative assessment that the teacher set per campus is being vet by another teacher from a different NIS school. So there is standardization, there is monitoring. And when it comes to quality instruction, before pandemic, our teachers, me and my colleagues, are required to observe classes, at least 4 observations in a month. So we go to other teachers' classes, we sit, we give commendations and recommendations. So there is a constant collaboration amongst the teacher in the school itself. And we also do open lessons. So say, for example, if you really have a good strategy, you can invite other teachers to sit in your lesson. So there is a constant exchange of ideas. And our teachers also attend regular pedagogical or professional development seminars, which is very helpful in making sure, in ensuring that the delivery of the lesson is not only meeting but the standards, but also of high quality.
I really like the idea of that open door policy where teachers can visit your classes, because that's really how you elevate the quality of instruction. By learning from your peers, from your colleagues, that is a powerful tool in improving your instruction. I know at School of Social Justice, Zeny, you have that kind of format as well, right? Could you talk a little bit about that open door policy in
Yes.
California?
Yes, we tried to let our doors open, so we do not close our doors and anyone can walk in. Principals, assistant principals, all teachers who have preps, they can just walk in into the classroom. And the only thing that we talked about in school is not to distract the learnings of the students, not to distract the teacher, and just walk around and observe, not to write anything else, because when the teacher are seeing other teachers writing, they got nervous, so we tried to eliminate those things. But then when they walked out, when they debrief a little bit about what are the good things they see and what are the things that needs to be improved. So it was really great to see and to know which one works well and which one needs to have some modifications.
Yeah, really requires a change in the mindset of teachers as well, being more welcoming to other teachers in your classroom. One thing that you can also do as a replacement of that, if you don't have time to go visit classes, is to record some of your teaching classes. Maybe about 5-10 minutes of your class should be recorded. And then as a professional learning community, you guys can look at either the assessment pieces, the questioning and answering, or the engagement in the classroom. Whatever the target is, if the time is a problem observing classes, there's a way you can, just like I've said, you can record some videos, teaching videos, and then as a PLC, as a professional learning community, try to engage everyone in the reflective teaching. So I think based on the responses of our resource speakers and our viewers, I'm gonna give a quick summary again of the high quality instruction. High quality instruction is actually the tier 1 or the first part of the RTI square model. And again, that is about targeting 75 to 80% of the students, making sure that they are meeting the standards. So if less than 75% of your students in the classroom are not meeting the standards or they're not at grade level proficiency, that means there's a need to improve that instruction in the classroom. It's not an intervention problem, but it is improving the quality of instruction. And here are some of the examples of support as mentioned by Zeny, Joel, and Celzo as well. So making sure that there's a safe and supportive learning environments, making sure that you know your students well. What are their needs? What type of learners are they? Making sure that you develop that good relationship with the kids. The second is differentiated instruction. I know Joel also mentioned about the different strategies on how to differentiate your instruction. So make sure that you incorporate that in your classes. And some teachers may overlook this, but make sure that you maximize instructional time. I hope that you, from the moment they enter your classroom till the end, make sure that you're maximizing the time. And I hope that you're not using 10 minutes to check the attendance, things like that. So again, make sure you maximize instructional time. And from Cez, she mentioned about high quality teaching and staff development. As a community at your school, make sure you develop a more focused staff development based on the needs of your students, based on the needs of the teachers. So as much as possible, try to create a training or development that caters to the needs of the teachers and the students. So these are just some ways on how to upgrade your high quality instruction. If you have 75% of students not meeting the standards, you may consider doing this at a higher level. So set very high expectations, not just for the students, but also for the teachers. So it's the job of the administrators as well to set that high standards for the teachers as teachers set high expectations for the students. So again, staff must have high expectations for the students and for themselves as well. We always say failure is not an option, right? So teachers must genuinely believe and demonstrate that every child can achieve proficiency. Everyone should subscribe to that idea. And again, we need to focus on different instructional practices. Make sure we are engaging all the kids. In the past, I have talked a little bit about teach like a champion strategies and cooperative learning structures. That's how you strategically engage the students, not just calling on those kids that are always raising their hands, but making sure that every student are engaged in the different activities in your classroom using those strategic cooperative learning structures. And Zeny also mentioned about the different assessments. It's really important that you are providing formative assessments to drive your instruction, whether you need to give enrichment or intervention, and also the summative assessments as well to give appropriate diagnosis of what the students needs and what type of instruction you will be implementing in the future. All right, so with that, our question number 2 is Tier 2. As we know, even if you are delivering high quality instruction, for sure there will be some kids who will not be meeting the standards. That's for sure. So that's why we need the Tier 2 intervention. This is called targeted intervention to provide support for about 20% of students that are not meeting the standards. So again, for our viewers, the question is, what strategies do you have in place for any students not meeting the standards after delivery of your high quality instruction? So again, you have a minute to think about that question, and then when you're ready, share your answers to the comment section. And we're gonna give shout outs as well before we hear from Zeny, Cez, and Joel as well. And with that, I'm going to give shout outs again to our viewers. We have RVs watching from Indonesia with Christine. Shout out to Cez. Cez, looks like that's your friends. Melba, thank you for watching. Marisa from Cebu province. And Lita, Ricky, Marilu, Anna, Amy Sia, Diego Camo, Analizelle Rivera. Marilu, thank you for watching. So again, when you're ready to share your response to the question, please type your answers in the comment section. All right, Zeny and Cez, are you guys ready to share your insights? What strategies do you have in place for the students that are not meeting the standards? No matter how great your instruction is, there will always be some kids that will not meet the standards. So what will you do? Should we start with you, Zeny?
Yeah. So for me, I'm just gonna share what I did when I was in the classroom teaching. So I actually asked them to stay after school for one-on-one tutorial with me for 1 hour. So they actually like stayed with me, and during the assessment, because every day we have exit ticket and also entrance quiz. So I literally find what are the gaps that the students are having, and those gaps I try to address them during tutorial after school. So the students actually like stayed and then practice more. And I gave them chances to, let's say, for example, they take the test and they score bad. So I give them chances to retake them after they practiced with me. Or I gave them an electronic or laptop, and I have some program online that they can practice what are the skills that they are missing or lacking in order for them to move forward. So there are some gaps that needs to be developed in order to meet and be on the standards that we are in the classroom. So I have to remove those gaps. So that's what I'm doing in the classroom. Now online, there's so many tools that I can use actually to help them reach and remove the gaps.
Thank you, Zeny. Before we hear from Cez, let's hear first from Joel. But before that, from Ed's Mercado, giving them lots of simple enrichment activity online or offline, able to cope up the lessons until she can do it by his or her own. And from Ricky, one-on-one remedial intervention to help our students to cope up with the lessons and accomplish differentiated activities. So let's hear first from Joel.
There are various reasons or factors why some percentage of students fall behind Just like there's more, or there's most applicable and more appropriately effective teaching strategy to different individuals or different groups of learners, different proficiencies, etc. For me, it is always important to know what's behind every issue for appropriate solution. But if, despite of very good instruction with universal access and still some don't meet the standards, I would advise that a specific learner should be given a follow-up teaching or practice time at home with the use of online multimedia instruction, that is, with the guardian or parent's intervention to ensure learning success. What they do in China is that students have to stay extra time at school and finish up all that's not made during the day. I don't agree with this though. My take is that it is best for the parents to have time with their kids to personally help them with their difficulties at school, and it's more of giving emotional, social, aside from just intellectual support in their education.
All right, so that's the insights from Joel. That's really interesting. Princess, what about you?
Yeah, I think we do almost the same thing. So extra lessons, remediation, but it's done on a regular basis. During instruction, since there are two of us co-teaching, and the teachers, and our class size is small, like between around 9 to 14 students per group. So my colleagues and I can already determine students who do not need guidance and supervision, and those who really need close supervision. So even during lessons, say while they are doing their worksheets and formative assessment, we do small group and individual coaching, and consistent student consultation, providing them enrichment material, say video tutorials, suggesting to them to look up for these video tutorials. We provide them copy of the presentations. For our online learning, for our remote learning, we record our day-to-day discussion, so the students can go back and watch the lesson all over again. And of course, parent-teachers conferences. The unusual thing here in Kazakhstan is that parent-teachers conferences are done at the end of the day, like from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. when work is over. So the parents can actually come to school and classes are not disrupted during the parent-teachers conference.
I really like the idea of videotaping yourself and posting that video and making it accessible to the kids, especially now that we are really transitioning to blended learning. I think that's what I need to do now that I'm teaching also those kids that are still outside Singapore, whether they are in the North, South America, or Asia. I think if I have that video, I can just share it on Google Classroom, and then it's a lot easier for them to follow along with our curriculum, making sure that they are supported. So I really like that, Princess. All right. So just to summarize again, the information shared to us by our viewers and our resource speakers. So these are just examples of support. I know Stes, Joel, and Zeny already mentioned most of this. The idea for Tier 2 or targeted intervention is this is to be done within the class hours. So if your class at school is from 8 to 3, the idea is to provide the support from 8 to 3 p.m. So here in Singapore, we have learning support classes that we provide to the students who are needing that intervention. And they basically meet on a daily basis for 45 minutes. So also within our classes, we do pull-out sessions, doing small group support. And also, you could also, I think Zeny also mentioned about the study hall homework help that could be done also after school. In the math department, we offer math help on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 4 days a week. Since there's 4 teachers at our school per grade level, so we do once a week. So we monitor that, providing that same support to the students in our grade level. I think also the frequent progress report is really essential to make sure that the students and the parents are aware about the current progress of the kids. That way, there is a more systematic intervention based on the progress of the kids. Also, try to provide study skills classes. That is also embedded in our program here in Singapore. So in our kid chat meetings, we identify kids that will be needing that organization or study skills to be successful in all their classes. And it also includes goal setting and career planning for them. If you have new kids, it will also be very beneficial by providing them a peer support system. And with that, that will help them meet the standards as well. So again, that's targeted intervention to examples of support that you guys could use. Also, the emphasis here in Singapore of our PLC work is really the response to instruction and intervention. Just like I've said, we tap on the expertise of our learning support specialists. We provide pull-out sessions within our grade level, and we provide after-school help, and of course, reteaching if necessary. That's the main reason why we are identifying the power standards all the time, to really focus on those power standards. Because I know in the Philippines, that's the main challenge. When I look at the curriculum in the Philippines, there's so many things that they need to cover in 185 days. And it's impossible to cover all those. So if you do it based on the pacing plan, I think you're sacrificing the quality of instruction. So again, the emphasis should be focusing on the power standards. That way you will have some opportunities for reteaching if there's a need to reteach that particular lesson. Okay? And also, I think I've mentioned this in our previous webinar also, that we have tiered assignments for all our students. Because here in Singapore, we have majority of our students are at higher level. So we need to differentiate not just the instruction, but also the assessments and assignments. So the expectation is for everyone to meet and answer the green level questions. And blue and black level questions are challenge problems, and these are highly optional. That way, they can progress based on their levels. In fact, last year, I had students that took pre-calculus and AP calculus as grade 9 because they took the assessments end of the year, and they met the standards for the prerequisite classes. Before we continue, again, here's our attendance verification code. It's RTI281. Certificates are available and will be posted at Celzo Academy FB page tomorrow at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. So take note of that code, RTI281. And after doing the Tier 1 high quality instruction, Tier 2 targeted intervention, for sure, there will be about 5%, 1 to 5% of your students that will be needing that intensive and extensive intervention. And that's what we call the Tier 3 of intervention. So how do you address this 5% of students at a class or class level despite the high quality instruction and targeted intervention? So it's kind of similar to the Tier 2, but this is more targeted and intensive for that very small number of kids that you need to reach out. So again, type your answers, responses in the comment section, and we're gonna hear also from our 3 resource speakers. But before that, I wanna say hello and thank you for watching Maridel, Ana Lizel, Aloha from Camiguin, Robert from Pagadian City, Jennifer, Andy, Marilu Buenaventura, Annalyn Fajardo, Jomar Mandani, Diego Camo, thank you for watching. And we're going to be sharing your insights as well. There's actually a request from Ana Lizel. She said, good day po, Sir Gani. Can we still do the peer teaching online? How can that be done po kaya? Because I do that in my class before, during the normal classes. Thank you po. Any insights on that, Zeny and Says, how do you do peer teaching? Because for me, when I did the virtual learning last March to June, I used the Zoom as a platform to conduct synchronous teaching and learning. So I use the breakout sessions. You can set your breakout sessions pairing. You can pair the kids before they enter your class, or you can do it automatically as well. So Anna Lizel, you can still do the peer teaching online using the online learning. Also, for our learning support specialist, I added her also as a co-host of our Zoom class. And when I do breakout sessions, she joined a specific group to provide small group intervention and instruction. So even if it's virtual learning, it's still doable. Any insights on that, Zeny and Sis, about peer teaching online?
I agree with you. So at Zoom, during Zoom time, during breakout session, they can actually do it. You know, assign one co-host and then that particular assigned number of students, and then they can do peer teaching.
Okay. All right. So with that, Zeny and Sis, talking about Tier 3 intervention, what do you guys do? I know high quality instruction is employed in your classroom. You provide some small group intervention, but still, you still have 1 or 2 kids in your class that are still not meeting the standards. What will you do?
Okay, for me, I will be providing my students with a lot of resources online that they can watch on their own time. Or because if my teaching is not working for that particular kid, then there's something that I'm not reaching or something that I'm not doing right for that kid. So I'll be providing different types of tools, different practices that's available online for the kids to watch on their own time. And by the time, I'm just going to give them like specific amount of time to practice or watch a video or learn on their own, take notes, and then I'm going to reassess that kid, whatever learning they gain from that resources.
All right, I like that idea as well, Zeny. What about, before we continue with Sis, let's hear first from Joel.
In about 23 years teaching experiences, I found out that the reason this usual about 5% of students who are left behind are poor readers, or they are categorized as slow learners because of their reading ability. I am referring to not just an English subject area. It can also be in mathematics or science, etc. There's always an immediate need for the teacher to address this problem by giving remedial reading time if possible, just like what we do here in the Philippines. Now, if you're teaching abroad, the solution might be different in a way that the parents would hire a private tutor or teacher to simply train the student to read English or it depends on the school's program, whether the teacher will be asked to include remedial reading time to kids in their working hours. It's up to them to decide, but the teacher should also communicate with the parents to solve the problem. So, to close the gap, the whole class should be on the same level of reading ability or proficiency. It is always true that for young learners, good learning or understanding starts from reading. I know you would agree with that. I also have to mention, though, that there could be other factors other than the pupil's ability to read. For example, if you've got a kindergarten class or preschoolers, the problem could be from behavioral or health or personal issue, which the teacher should always consider or get to know.
All right. So I really like that. I think I want to build on the parent involvement, and also JB mentioned about home visitation, make a follow-up, and provide or design a more engaging intervention. If students are still not meeting the standards after high-quality instruction and targeted intervention, you really need to include other stakeholders, especially the parents of the kids. So thank you for that suggestion, JB. And also from other viewers, I think we have the same comments about visiting the parents and involving other stakeholders. What about you, Sis?
Yeah, even if our students are already, well selected, there are still one or two who can barely cope. And it can boil down to their poor English skills and poor math skills. Or maybe they are innately smart or intelligent, however, it was not fully supported as they, complete their high school. So for this 5%, our students are innately motivated. So it's seldom that we encounter this kind of problem, because their motivation is from the fact that they could not support university, so they have to do well with their external exams so that they can enter Nazarbayev University or other universities abroad. So that's the motivation of our students, to get really high scores in SAT and to get good scores in IELTS. But for this 5%, we have this constant monitoring. My colleagues prepare journals, anecdotes, and then they use this data. And from this, at class level, we do the small group and individual coaching. At school level, students who are at risk of failing the grade, they know that once they fail, they need to move out of the school. And so this is endorsed to the Deputy for Academic Affairs. And there is also a constant dialogue between the director, the student, and then the parents. And as I've mentioned in the past, we have what we call curators. They're not classroom teachers, they are advisors, and they're responsible for the holistic, state of the student: academic, behavior, attendance, uniform, etc. So those are the interventions that work for us here.
Yeah, I think at this stage of intervention, you really need to involve the different stakeholders, other teachers, psychologists, or the dean. It could be a behavior issue, right? It could be a mental health problem. So there's really a need for the one-to-one support for instruction, supervision, or even personal care. So you really need to, you can't just do it yourself. So at this stage of intervention, you really need the other stakeholders' involvement to address that intervention piece. And just to give a context about the difference between Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. For Tier 3, for the setting, usually the school designated specific setting or classroom, whether it's after school classroom that they use to provide that intensive intervention. That's for Tier 2 and Tier 3. And for the grouping in Tier 3, as much as possible, do it 1-to-1 or 1-to-2. Of course, some schools, it's not possible because of the lack of human resources. But as much as possible, when you do it after school or outside of the classroom time, make sure you do it 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 to provide to address and provide the needs of the kids. And for Tier 3 time, try to make it as about 50 minutes. More than that or less than that, I will be not addressing the needs of the kids. So these are just some suggestions on differences between Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 interventions. All right, our question number 4. I know everyone has been preparing for the blended learning. So what are some tools and enrichment apps that you've been using? I know in our previous webinars, we have shared some resources already, but there's a lot of resources that pop up from time to time. So if you have other ideas on how to provide intervention and enrichment, what are some of the apps and tools that you guys could share? So again, for our viewers, please share your responses to the question below. And hello to Jomar. Thank you for watching. Javelin, Jomar Mandani. He said, replace and address everything in it and use alternative delivery modes to meet the students' standards in your class. And another comment from Catalina. Catalina said, as of now, we are not allowed to have face-to-face. We call the parents or guardians about the child learning. And from Ricky, for some reason, we are also told to send call parent form in coordination with their advisor and ask for the attendance. Yeah, so at this time, you really need to engage the parents and they have to be part of the learning process. All right, ready? Princess, I know you have shared a lot of resources last week. If you don't mind, please share those resources again. What intervention and enrichment tools and apps can you share to our viewers?
So I will start. So as I've mentioned before, at the end of 12th grade, actually before the 12th grade ends, our students take the external exams prepared by Cambridge International Examination. So the intervention that we provide our students is to give them exam questions for practice that is based on the CIE A-level exams. So the source that we use is savemyexams.com. But since our students are already, young adults, they know how to look for these materials online. So they know how to download the past papers or the copies of these exams. And then Gani has mentioned several times, Khan Academy, very helpful. For physics teachers, you can use physicsclassroom.com. PHET, Colorado Simulations and Interactives, very, very helpful for conceptual understanding. YouTube tutorials, I like TED Ed videos because it's animated and the discussion is simplified. And for physics, I personally like Paul Hewitt videos because he's focusing on conceptual understanding. Continuous reflection and input from our students through Padlet. And then if you wish to develop their communication skills, you can use Seesaw so they can take a video. The usual, but still very, very, in Kahoot, quizzes. The thing about Kahoot and quizzes is there are loads of questions. You don't have to, to spend time making the questions. It's available. So, and then you can also get the data from the students' performance. Great Gorilla also. And if you have loads of work, you don't have to make your own PowerPoint. BoardWorks presentations are available online. and BBC UK Bite Size. I also like that source. So those are some of the sources that I use for my instruction.
Thank you, Princess. If it's not too much, if you could post some of those resources in a Global Educators Group, that will be a great help to all our teachers in the Philippines. And before we continue with Zeny, let's hear first from Joel also to get some insights about elementary and some other tools as well. So here we go.
Even before this COVID-19 pandemic, we already have several ways, specifically apps, arrayed in such a way that teachers will be able to come up with advanced strategy to teach students online or the so-called distant learning. Now, I understand that not everyone is a techie person, but for a teacher, it's always good to learn new tricks to keep abreast of time, as we put it. With existing apps, it is important that we have at least some basic computer skill, because there's a need for us to make like PowerPoint presentations or PPTs, Google Form, Excel file, or we've got to do some video editing. So in short, we've got to be good at computer, because blended learning is not just showing a picture and asking questions. It is a combination of traditional way mixed with advanced technology to cater the needs of our millennial students. And what are these enrichment tools or apps we are talking about? In our good list, this is number one. Number one is Kotobi. Kotobi is an interactive tool and is best to making ebooks, presenting stories in cartoon format, so it is very useful for curriculum designers or developers. I personally like the effects that we can use for interactive ebook type lesson, and I think students will really enjoy this. There's this sense of high technology or advanced technology in it. Number two is OBS. This is highly recommended, and as far as I know, DepEd already conducted webinars for teachers to be able to use this. It's easy to learn, and this is used to transform PowerPoint presentations to video format. And number three in our list is this Google Classroom. It doesn't mean to be the least, because it is also very useful and exciting to use. And even for kids, I believe, again, it has the so-called Google Slides, which is typically like PowerPoint, where you can also attach some videos and other file formats. It is also best to launch your formative or summative tests that would instantly rate the students' scores. And that's with the help of Google Form in your Google Drive. So it's also a must that the teachers have this Google Drive account, or simply have the Google account, so that you would be able to access or make use of what Google Drive can offer. Number four, online ready-made lessons, or YouTube. We all know YouTube, where we can find any information under the sun. There's lots and tons of tutorials, and of course, teaching videos that are helpful for students and teachers alike. You can simply search for a supplemental video to support your teaching plans. And I think it's a chance for me to ask you to check out some of the English teaching videos I made to help teachers with DepEd module-based teaching lessons. And I promised you that I give my best in each video posted. So please find Kalahe-PH and see for yourself. I'd really appreciate if you would subscribe and even, help help me spread the news that I have this website. Remember, Kalahi-PH, or you can simply find Joel Chavez.
All right. So to all our viewers, please find time to visit Jubal Chavez YouTube channel, Kalahi-PH, for more content. And Zeny, what about you?
Yeah, so before I share all of the resources that I'm using here online, and I'd like to share also with you the YouTube video that was mentioned a while ago. There's a lot of things, anything under the sun you want to learn, how to use this and so on and so on, how to do this stuff. You can learn it on YouTube. So one thing that I would like to share for every single one of you, and you can utilize this, and I know most and all of the Filipinos and students have cell phones. So we're going to use all their cell phones to communicate, including their parents. So here's what I did here in my classroom. So remotely, I did teach like summer school, and I created a class for remind.com. I can text my students using my laptop, using my cell phone, using a tablet, and not showing my telephone number. So I can reach them. I just gonna give them the code. All they have to do is text me the code to that number, and they're gonna be signed up into my Remind. So all of my students, I have class 1, class 2, class 3, different codes, and I can reach them anytime I want. And also the parents, I gave them their own personal code too, so that parents are different. So I can text them anytime I want, because I know communication sometimes during this pandemic is totally difficult. I don't want to go to their houses. So the only way I can reach them is to text them right away. That's very easy. But the only thing that remind.com is very limited amount of characters, like words. You can only text a few words, just a reminder, but you can just summarize it. And one thing that I would like also you guys to try and YouTube it, how to use it, is the OneNote for Windows 10. It is a notebook for organization for all students. They do not need a literal notebook to write. They can use a OneNote for Windows 10 to organize and have tabs. This is for organization skills. And it's very wonderful also for teachers to use it, because you can attach all videos, all other resources online that you can just provide the link and share it to your students. And there you go. They have their notes already. So it's very easy. Also, Khan Academy, there's like a lot of videos and practice for students. And Ed Puzzle, Nearpod, Notability, Screencastify, Zoom. I actually use Zoom all the times. Google Classroom. There's so much. And Discovery, just try to YouTube those resources and see how it works. And it's a lot. It's very overwhelming sometimes, but you just have to pick which one best for you.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's really a lot of available tools. And as I always say, just choose the top 3 that you want to use in your classroom, whether it's blended learning or 100% online. Just choose the top 3 that you want to use so you don't overwhelm yourself. And with that, there's also a comment from Merlita, and I really agree to this. She said, poor internet connectivity is our major problem. Therefore, modular learning is the only applicable delivery mode in our school. And I agree with you. It's extremely difficult in the Philippines as they transition to blended learning because, of course, there's a lack of resources. There's no gadgets for the students and even some parents as well, and the internet connection. So again, kudos to all our hardworking teachers in the Philippines. I really salute you all. And that's why, again, I launched the back to school competition to give some appreciation to all the work that you do in preparation for the back to school. So again, I know Philippines has been working hard to try to use all the available resources, but of course you can only do so much. So if it's the modular approach that you guys could use, so be it. And it's okay. It's okay if there's a need to change your modalities, things like that. It's okay. So again, the priority is just the well-being of the students and the teachers. So be kind to yourself, teachers. This is really a difficult time. So also, I just want to summarize what I use also in the intervention and enrichment resources. Aside from those online tools that our resource speakers have mentioned, make sure that you also tap on those human resources. If there's some additional teachers or teacher aid or learning support specialists that can help in providing the intervention and enrichment, tap on those human resources. Contact your guidance counselor or dean of students or psychologist if there's a need to have that one-on-one conversation with the kids. Tap on those human resources. Manipulatives are also powerful tools when dealing with math lessons to develop that conceptual understanding. So like algebra tiles, counters, or sometimes I also use the tracing paper for congruency or similarity, things like that. And of course, we have the available online tools, as they've mentioned, Kotobi, Khan Academy, iExcel, Learn Zillion, things like that, and also the modules that our teachers in the Philippines are preparing. And as I mentioned in the previous webinars, focus on just three. For me, these are just three things that I usually use for my intervention and enrichment, and for same reasons. I can easily assess the students based on the ready-made assignments, quizzes, and tests. I can also differentiate the level of questions based on the students' needs. And there is a monitoring tool that allows me to see the progress of the kids when they enter the class and when they exit my class. So Khan Academy is not just for math, it's also free. It's from K to 12, offering all classes, all courses. So explore that if you have connections with internet, of course, right? This is really good with asynchronous learning. You can just assign videos so students can take notes. They can practice their skills. They can take quizzes. They can take tests. In fact, you can also assign assessments with different questions. That way, the result is more authentic, and the students will not be able to cheat because they have different types of questions as well. So same thing with iExcel, but of course, iExcel is free with limited access. So if you want more access, you need to pay subscription fees. Okay. All right. So finally, this is our last question. If we can give some final tips and strategies for our teachers and our viewers, what will be those final tips? Maybe 2 or 3 tips that you guys could share to our viewers. Again, viewers, please share with us the final tips and strategies. All right. My camera is off right now, but let's begin with you, Zeny and Princess. What final tips you guys can give our viewers?
Okay, so final tip that I would like to give for you to teach, or in order for all students to learn in the classroom, is making sure that the students feel they are welcome, that you value them, because I teach math and most of my students, they hate mathematics. So when they come into my classroom, I feel that. So, but when they feel that you really care about them and their learning, whatever hard topic you give them, they're gonna try their best because they feel that you really care for them. And that's the one that I think the biggest the most important thing in the classroom is for them to feel that you value them as a human being.
Thank you. I like that tip. Yeah, you really need to build that connection and build that relationship with your kids. It doesn't matter how great your instruction is. If there is that wall between you and the students, that good instruction will not translate to great learning.
That's true.
Princess, what about you?
Yeah, so I've read from comments that the most common mode of communication between teachers and students right now in the Philippines is through Messenger. Here in Kazakhstan, we use WhatsApp and Skype. So if you use Messenger because it's the most accessible, just make sure that you establish a clear and strict guidelines as to what type of messages the students can share and what time of the day they can contact you. Not that, they will ping you at 12 midnight to ask for questions. Yeah. There's an open link, however, set strict guidelines. Collaborate and integrate as much as possible because we know that, say, for example, you're doing modules. If you do your own modules, like bits by bits, subject per subject, it's more tasking on your part. But if you integrate, you could lessen the burden. Yeah. And at the end of the day, don't forget about yourself. Actually, before pandemic, my colleagues and I developed this certain ritual. We call it an hour for myself. So every day, say we take lunch for 30 minutes and walk for 30 minutes. Yeah. So we really spend like our own me time every single day because especially now that we're doing remote learning, work from home, we could no longer differentiate, is this still part of my professional work or, my chores at home?
Yeah.
Things.
I had the same experience when we did virtual learning last March to June. But also one thing that I like is that we started at 9 a.m. and ends at 3. So it allows me also to just go outside my place and walk and enjoy the nature as well for about 30 to 45 minutes walk. So I really appreciate that. And also schools and administrators, if you can make a schedule in that way, there is the same schedule of lunch for all the students regardless of grade level. That will be awesome because that will be a family time as well if they have the same lunch time. Because also parents have kids as well going to virtual learning. So if you can give that same lunch time for the students and teachers, that will be a great bonding time for the entire family as we address this pandemic. Okay, and let's hear also from Joel. All right, looks like all right, it's not playing right now. My apologies for that final tips from Joel. But again, thank you, Joel, for joining us today. I just want to share with you also just quickly my plan when I did virtual learning last March to June. As I always say, it's okay to be predictable with your math class online. So we had a 55-minute class from March to June, and I tried to make it more systematic where the students do the do now problems I posted on Google Classroom and Zoom for 10 minutes, and I do some check-in. I have conversations with them, how they're doing, because that's the most important thing, checking on their well-being. And then engage them with the whole class discussion for 20 minutes through Notability app as well, so they can follow along as I explain the step-by-step solutions to the questions. Also provide them opportunities to work with a partner or work with the groups using the breakout sessions as well. And finally, make sure you bring them together the last 5 minutes of the class to make sure that you close and synthesize the lesson for the day, just like a regular classroom setting. And when you're conducting a chat or video conferencing, it is a must that you have norms to follow. As much as possible, there should be a school-wide norms for chat and video conferencing if you're doing the virtual learning to make sure there's consistency. For me, I ask my students to join the Zoom class 3 minutes before the time, even if we have that 10-minute passing period, because that time can be used for the students to use the restroom, drink water, or organize things like that. And also, it allows me to take care of myself as well in that 10-minute period. Again, it's the well-being of the teacher and the students. That's the main priority. And when you do breakout rooms, also there should be a clear expectation whether the microphone is on, the video is on, but of course, the brain should always be on. It can't be off. Right?
Yes.
All right. And also, I mentioned this last week also that at this time, all teachers need to really work together. Make sure that you observe bayanihan. Work together as a team. And as a school, make sure you communicate that continuity of instruction plans to all the students and the parents. But of course, it has to be clear to the teachers first before communicating it to the other stakeholders. And the goal is always to make your virtual learning experience as close as possible to the regular classroom setting. Build that connection, even if it's digital. Engage the kids as well in the discussion. And I can't emphasize it enough. The most important thing is the well-being of every student and teachers. That's the top priority. And finally, take this as opportunity to learn new techniques. I know a lot of everyone has been doing some sort of sharpening the saw at this time, attending webinars, learning some online tools, things like that. Whatever that is, embrace this opportunity to learn new techniques, right? And as much as possible, if you could change your instructional practices from time to time, that will also be important for the kids to be more engaging as well. With that, I hope that we were able to address some of the questions and our agenda for today. We didn't see any questions regarding life of teachers as OFWs, but I know we have a lot of OFWs around the world. So as teachers, we share the same experience, just like the overseas Filipino workers around the world. I also like Oliva's question, comment rather. Oliva said, make students love math by doing math. Give them interactive activities. And I saw one comment a while ago from Diego. I really love this. He said, for me, I give extra love and care to my learners. Right? That's really important nowadays. So again, make sure that you complete the evaluation form. And it is linked in the live streaming description below and also at Celzo Academy FB page. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're over time. It's already 12:53. Thank you so much, Zeny, Princess, and Joel for joining us today. I really appreciate your sharing of insights and experiences and helping our teacher friends, especially in the Philippines. Last few words, Zeny and Princess, and maybe it's time for you to give shout outs to your colleagues and friends as well in the Philippines and in the US as well.
So,
Zeny?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And though this is my first time to join Gani, I really do love it, appreciate it, and I learned so much too. And for all of you that I know who are here tonight or here this afternoon, it's already afternoon. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'm hoping to see you soon in the Philippines. So after this pandemic is over. And the question, I saw one question that someone posted regarding why students hate math. It's because their level of like the basic skills are not yet there. So I need to go back and help them for the multiplication and adding portions, and they have to see it in real world. What's the point? Why do we have to learn this math thing? So they have to make a connection. Otherwise, they're gonna hate it for life. So that's all.
Thanks, Zeny. Princess.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone who joined us today. Thank you so much, Gani. I am not hesitating joining this, even if my experience is not that great, because I learn a lot. I learn a lot from Gani, from the other resource speaker, and of course to our really diligent and then hardworking teachers in the Philippines. And I would like to thank my kumpare and kumare in Indonesia who are watching right now, Arvi and Christine. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah. Again, I can't express my appreciation to you again, Princess and Zeny. I learned a lot from you, from both of you as well, and Joel Chavez. And of course, our hardworking and dedicated teachers in the Philippines. Magbayanihan po tayo, and we're gonna get through this. I hope to visit some of the schools in the Philippines soon, once the travel restriction is lifted here in Singapore and the Philippines as well. But for now, I hope that you join our back to school video competition. So far I had about 20 entries that were submitted. So you can still submit your entries on or before August 22nd at 1 p.m. And I hope to visit more schools in the Philippines soon, especially in the remote areas in the Philippines. Again, thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to our resource speakers, and see you again in our next webinars. And don't forget to subscribe at Celzo Academy FB page. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and evening to the US.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zeny and Princess, stay with me. Don't go offline.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.